Happiness is beautiful, it's a kind reality. Happiness is the highest good, happiness is free. So let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy.
Welcome to the Happiness Show. This is George Ortega. I'm here with Lionel Ketchian, and we're here to talk about happiness because happiness is, always has been, and always will be the point of it all. Today is our 100th episode of the Happiness Show, so we're gonna devote this episode to happiness and humor. So Lionel, this is great. I mean, we've done 100 episodes. We've done 75 episodes together, and it's been awesome. It's been great.
George, congratulations. It is great. It's a wonderful occasion. We have cake. I'm not eating it, but I think the studio is all ready. As soon as the show ends, they're going to attack
I'm going to dig into it before it starts.
Well, if you do that, you may have to share.
Yeah.
Come on down. Come on down.
Come in.
Well, you know, this is part of humor. I mean, this is, hey, let loose and relax and enjoy it. Boy, we don't always think of humor and laughter as part of happiness. You know, I don't know how most people think about it, but boy, there's some interesting aspects of humor and laughter that are such a part of happiness, and not everyone who's happy uses them. You know, they don't. I mean, we don't always walk around with a smile, and we certainly don't always walk around laughing either. Right. But there really is some. I mean, laughter can change your state and your body and everything like a smile, and more so, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, humor is about inducing physical happiness.
That's a good way to put
physical.
it.
Yeah, because when you think about it, anything that's humorous, right? What's it going to evoke? It's going to evoke a smile, and it's going to evoke a laugh. Right?
Right.
So I mean, it's got to be like, you know, humor is like probably the best way to the physical. I'm not sure if it's the best way, because I mean, I think
it's a good way.
Yeah, it's a good way. It's a good way. But no, I mean, like, you know, you can just like smile and laugh without humor, because like, what's his name? Kataria does that.
Yeah. He started the laughter clubs all over the place.
But yeah, the idea is that, like, I mean, humor. I mean, what is it? It's like, it's so amazing because it's like taking something and seeing it in a way that's I guess unique, that's out of the ordinary, but it evokes that pleasant feeling.
You know, in some ways, humor is like thinking out of the box, because it's always a switch that, you know, especially with a joke. If you wanted to use a joke as humor, it's thinking out of the box, and then you pull that switch on someone. They don't get what they expected, and that's why it's humor. Enjoy it.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, you remind me of laughter when you said it's physical happiness. Norman Cousins said that laughter was inner jogging. So you're right, and that's the case. I mean, inner jogging is sort of getting physical with laughter. You know, you're feeling it in your whole state and being and physical self. I
don't ordinarily use laughter in the happiness techniques that I use, but you know, I'm familiar with Kataria's work, and I've tried it. I've tried to just like sit there or lie in bed and just started laughing. And you know, I've got to say, you know, the different happiness methods I use, belief and affirmations and stuff, they work. But the laughter works a lot better. I mean, it works a lot better in the sense that it evokes much stronger feelings of happiness. Now, the reason I don't use it is because, like, it's also, I think, a very excited kind of happiness. Because I mean, your body's convulsing.
That's true.
Which is good.
Yeah, it is very true. I want to just let our listeners know that if they're interested in, because we're mentioning Dr. Kataria and the laughter clubs, he's a person who's started thousands of laughter clubs around the world, and in the January issue of the Times article, on happiness, he was, presented, and his work was presented. So if anyone wants to reference him and go back and find it, that's in there for them. And in his case, he said that the first week he used to laugh by telling jokes, and then he ran out of jokes. So he doesn't use jokes to laugh. They laugh for no reason. They just get themselves laughing. But the real thing was that when you hear someone else laughing, it becomes contagious, and you are more likely to laugh as well. In fact, you will laugh. It's like seeing a movie with a number of people who are laughing. It'll be a funnier movie for you than when you go to a movie and there's no sound.
Yeah, and that's why humor is so wonderful, because I mean, like, so much of our lives revolves around other people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, our principal, means to happiness is other people.
Right,
so if you have a kind of like this concept, this way of being that gets people to laugh and gets people to smile, I mean, what could be better?
It's
true.
God,
I mean, we should all have been born comedians. I mean, that would have been awesome.
Well, I love to kid around and laugh about stuff and tell jokes, and a lot of times people will say to me, I'll come up with a pun, and they'll go, and they'll say, "Oh, that's not funny," but they laugh. They think that we shouldn't, I don't know, that you have to tell the perfect joke or something, but I don't care. I think it's funny, and I laugh, and I would rather be saying something funny, even if it's not funny enough for someone, because it's still an icebreaker. You're still melting beyond yourself and saying to the other person, "I care about your state of mind. I want you to be happy." And if you don't want to be, that's fine,
Right.
But that's how I feel about it. It's up to you. You don't want to laugh, don't laugh. You want to laugh, laugh.
Exactly, man. It's not just about the other person, it's about you. I mean, like, we're not perfect comedians. A lot of stuff that we say isn't going to be happy, but, making the attempt, I mean, even like, it's like acting humorously.
Exactly.
We did a show.
So I want to make an announcement to my family. If you don't find me funny, that's your problem, okay? I'm now telling you that that's it. The rest of the world can figure it out for themselves, but don't let anything stop you from laughing and being a comedian if you have to be. You
know what humor is? Humor is like, there's like stuff happens in life that's just like sometimes not pleasant.
True.
So, I mean, humor can be like in pleasant situations also, but a lot of humor, a lot of really effective humor is directed toward things that aren't necessarily funny. Things happen, flat tire, whatever it is. And like humor is kind of like, it rebels against anything but happiness. It's saying, I see what's going on. I see, I can perceive the negativity, the potential negativity, the perceived, the evaluated negativity, whatever situation, but I'm not going there, and it's like, and like with humor, with some things you kind of have to reason them out, it's not necessary to feel that stuff, but with humor, it just goes straight to the happiness. I mean, it bypasses a reasonable
mechanism.
Exactly,
yeah. But you know what it really does? Humor puts you in charge. It makes you in control of yourself, at least. Maybe you can't control the situation, but if you're laughing, at least the situation is no longer controlling you. And I think that's a big thing. And again, you could use the happiness techniques, like now that you're in a laughing state of mind, you're laughing, you're detached emotionally from the challenge and the situation. Now you can take the best choice available to you, and I'll bet you if you're laughing about it, you're going to make a better choice to deal with this situation.
Oh yeah, because I mean, laughter. I mean, you find something humorous, you create humor, you start laughing, it changes your whole physiology. I mean, it's amazing.
It's true. It's true. And also, it not only changes your physiology, it changes your psychology. I mean, you're thinking differently. In fact, I would think that if we could, if this movie camera could capture the inside of our mind when we're plagued with some kind of unhappy experience or a challenge, think of it as a darkened, room. I mean, it would be great if they could turn all the lights down while I'm saying this, because that's what your mind is going to be like when you're faced with a challenge. And then laughter, there we go, it gets even darker. No, darker. Seriously, beautiful. But here's your mind, the inside of your mind when it's darker. Now, when you're happy, the lights go up. Bring those lights. You're happy.
Yay!
Look what happens. If happiness can do that to the inside of our mind, which it does, by the way, because NLP deals with the mind states, what you see, how you perceive, the darkness. What do you see? I see I see a little bit of light coming out of the corner of a window. Okay, rip the shutters open, turn all the lights on. All of a sudden, it isn't as bad psychologically when it's brighter as it is when it's dark. Right. So happiness brings laughter and lightness to everything. It's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, like we gotta express like the idea of like responsible humor, because I mean, because I mean, a lot of people are against happiness, because there are some like unethical ways to become happy. I mean, there's like a happiness that's kind of like totally self-centered, that like doesn't take into account the other people in the world. There's happiness that comes at other people's expense and stuff. And so with humor, you can be happy or you can be humorous at the expense of other people. That's terrible. That's horrible. That's evil. That's not good.
Yeah. I mean, if talking on a cell phone makes you happy, it's a great thing, but not in a crowded movie theater, for example.
Right. No. Excuse me, but the idea is like with humor. Yeah, I mean, it's like with happiness. You got to approach happiness in the right way, and you got to approach humor in the right way. It should never be against people, unless like you're bantering or something. But even that's probably not right. But there's a good humor. There's a good humor that's inoffensive. That's just funny.
I had a good humor once. It was an ice cream truck that I chased down the street and I caught.
Okay.
George, you said that humor is refusing to give up happiness. I think that's an ideal, perfect description of what humor is. It's refusing to give up happiness. Instead of something making us unhappy and unempowered, if we just laughed about it for a moment, even if we thought we're crazy for doing it, by the way, if we laughed about it, all of a sudden we get a sense of control. And that sense of control is acting as if we have control, and all of a sudden we've gained control back again.
Yes.
Something, in a sense, I think happiness teaches us that we never lost control ever. It's just that things don't always go the way we want them to go, and why lose yourself to the things?
Right, and actually, I mean, like humor could be an excellent cue. I mean, the idea is like something, whatever it is, isn't going the way we'd like it to, the way it's planned, whatever, and like that's funny. I mean, that yeah, anything. It could be the smallest thing. Can be, Now, sometimes, like in society, like major things happen, and there's kind of like a moral imperative to not laugh. Some kind of disaster or something.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about that. I'm wondering if one could have compassion, care, about people, but still laugh. Because if we do it, I mean, we got to
well, there's an example of it. I mean, the Irish people are great. They talk about an Irish wake where there's socialness. They come together, they laugh, they remember the person and the wonderful memories they had, and I believe they treat it as an experience. Of course, they're saddened by it, but they're also trying to maintain that feeling that, what a great guy, let's celebrate his life and the fact that we knew him as friends. I think that's the idea.
Right, yeah, but that's a tough one, because in our own personal life, it's a very interesting question, because in our personal life, something disastrous, where the worst horrible, disaster could happen, if we laugh about it, we're going to feel better. And I don't think anybody is going to fault someone for laughing at their own adversity to feel better, right?
I agree, but they might think you're insane. That's the only problem.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. A lot of times, a person, people understand, something tragic happens, and sometimes you're right, if it's too immediate or something, but in terms of a general principle, applying humor, maybe it has to be after a certain amount of time has passed, maybe it has to be in a certain circumstance, but the idea is that within certain constraints, other people will acknowledge that yes, it is good to laugh, to use humor, to really address, to overcome the most tragic of our personal circumstances. So then the question is, well, if it's all right to do that, why isn't it all right to laugh at other people's adversity? And I happen to it's a good question. I happen to think that it's not right to laugh at other people's pain. But I have to question that.
The old thing is that for some reason, when you see in a movie somebody falls, trips and falls, people laugh.
Right.
But it's some sort of a response that we almost can't help ourselves with. But yet, if you think about it, the person could have really hurt themselves. But the old movies, it was like the only thing that made people laugh was the slapstick routines where people are falling and getting hit in the head and things like that. But we would laugh at that.
Yeah.
So is it good? Is it bad? It's good if you laugh, but but I think that's why one of the things is not to laugh at someone, but to laugh with someone, and to have that kind of an encounter.
Well, I think Lionel, that's the key. That's the key, because like, for example, that is the key. If we're laughing, if we're using humor to overcome our own personal tragedy, our own personal adversity, we're not laughing at ourselves.
Right.
So that same principle has to be applied to when we're laughing at the potential adversity of others.
Yeah. No, it's true. And if we could fall down and laugh about our own falling down, that would be a wonderful thing, because I think it eases the pain in a sense. I mean, actually eases the pain.
Right.
The other thing about laughter that comes to my mind now that we're talking about this subject is that you could use laughter done in the right way to deal with another person who either may be sad or angry, done in a skillful, proper, respectful way. If you can get the other person to laugh about something, you really discharge the emotional negativity that could be gathered.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about like Irish funerals. I mean, I think also I heard like from this waiter in this Japanese restaurant. I don't know if this is true, but the waiter said that like before World War II, like the custom in Japan was like when somebody died, they celebrated. When somebody was born, they grieved or something, because like
really,
I don't know. But the idea is like, when you think about it physiologically, I mean, laughing and crying is, I think, like Joni Mitchell. Remember that song, that line from Joni Mitchell's song, "Laughing and crying is the same release." So basically, because if you try, you start, belly laughing, you start rolling with laughter,
you start crying.
And yes, you can start crying, and it's very, very similar to like bawling, crying.
I never thought of that.
So you got to wonder. I mean, like in terms of like. Lionel, this is, I mean, we got to think about this. Like, in terms of, like, dealing with grief. Right now, sometimes our world doesn't understand stuff. I mean, they certainly don't understand happiness, right?
They certainly don't understand grief either.
Exactly.
They condone it.
So the idea is, like, maybe we need a kind of a tradition that starts, like, a whole new kind of, like, a behavior, a human behavior that, like, and because you got to realize we're conditioned. For example, what I'm saying is, like, if we were like 3-4 years old, and let's say our grandparents died, one of our grandparents died, and we saw everyone around us laughing, something like that.
Very good.
When we're an adult, we're going to be
excellent.
laughing.
Excellent.
So the idea is like, without, this isn't about disrespect for death or disrespect for adversity, but like, it'd be wonderful to institute a kind of like a social behavior, a socially accepted conditioned behavior of maybe laughing in situations where we would cry, and we might find again that whatever the crying does, we can achieve just as easily through the humor, through the laughter.
Very good. Now, if I may, let's say it was your funeral.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Cool.
How would you want people to act at your funeral?
That is perfect, Lionel. That's perfect. Because, like, I think most people would say, I don't want them to. I mean, some people would want people to like suffer because they would make them feel cared for, right? But I think a lot of us, would really want our friends and our family to kind of like to not endure that pain. The people you love, you don't want them to go through the pain.
All right. So let's say you're dead, and I'm at your funeral. Do you want me to cry for you?
No, I don't want anything.
What would you like me to do? I mean, I'm serious now.
I would like, it's like, I think when people die, all right, we're going to do a show on the sanctity of death, and here's why.
Okay.
Because, like, basically in the world, we have this perverse view of death. We sanctify life. Life is sacred, right? But we don't, I mean, like, if we're religious, we got to realize God created us for like 70, 80 years here on Earth, and the rest of eternity we're dead. I mean, hopefully our souls survive and we're like, continually living. But the idea is that death for the person who has died, according to our Judeo-Christian tradition, according to probably this is Islamic and all, if we're good people, and I believe we're all people, all good people. I mean, because it's the idea is like, God created us, right? And so like, basically, this gets into like other things, but like, basically, here's why we're all good people. Okay. This is something philosophical. The Greeks understood this. Nobody in their at any time does anything that they think is wrong. Whatever we do at the time we're doing, we think it's right. So we're like biologically programmed to do good. So the idea is that I forgot what the.
Well, I was asking you what do you want? How do you want me to act at your funeral?
Oh, right. So this we got to do a show about death because, like, again, the idea is that most people think death is some horrible thing, and we've got to turn that around. I mean,
okay, but do you want me to laugh or cry at your funeral?
I want you to laugh. I want I want everyone to laugh. I mean, sure, because I'm going to be in heaven.
Okay, all right. Well, before I join you, and if people came to my funeral, I mean, I really wouldn't want people to be upset and unhappy.
No,
of course not, right? So, but yet some maybe, and I'd love a sign to be put up. Happiness strictly enforced. You'll be thrown out if there's any unhappiness. And I like what you said earlier, that if you were young and you attended a funeral where everybody's laughing, celebrating, having a good time, meeting one another. It's true that for a lot of families, weddings and funerals. So if you're going to be getting together, you still have a choice to make it an occasion, a good occasion.
Definitely.
Sure, you would have wanted the best and you wanted a continued life for somebody, but death is a given. But it doesn't mean that you have to be unhappy and feel that way.
Think about it. You got to, because a lot of times we are conditioned and we don't think things through enough.
I got an idea.
Well, if we believe the person who died is a good person, right, and if we're Jewish, Christian, Islamic, whatever, we believe that a Jewish person or a good person is going to go to heaven, then really we should be very, very glad for that person.
Exactly.
We shouldn't like say, oh, his life was taken from him. We should say his death was given to him.
I got a whole new industry I create. People like stand-up comics. Everybody likes them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the funeral, instead of going through all that morose, negative, unhappy stuff, you hire, instead of spending all the money on all the stuff that we normally do, you buy, you rent, or you hire a stand-up comic, but he won't be called a stand-up comic. We'll have a new name for it. It will be called a lay-down comic. So he lays down, he gets up, he starts telling jokes. But seriously, if you can actually incorporate some of the funny things about that person with a comic, that could change the whole sense of the whole experience. Where when you think about that person years to come, you say, what a wonderful time I had thinking about the person. That memory will be with you in a very positive way. What is wrong with that?
That's wonderful. That's great. I mean, definitely.
What is wrong with that?
It's kind of like happiness is really about a perspective. It's what perspective we want to give to life. We can see the negative, we can see the problems, and that's our perspective, and our feelings will follow.
Right.
Humor though is the perspective of happiness. I mean, humor is like there's two kind of like perspectives with happiness. One is like the idea of appreciating the good, right? It's gratitude.
Right.
Okay. The second component is that considering that a lot of that happens isn't quote unquote good or not necessarily good or maybe not good, whatever that means. Humor, whatever that the perspective toward anything that we consider may not be good. Humor is it's kind of ironic because it would seem that it was like a perspective that was like without reason, without logic but actually it's the most intelligent perspective. I mean, the only caveat here is that using humor to address a negative situation should not induce someone to not address a negative situation that should be addressed. In other words, if people if people are starving in the world, we're gonna use humor maybe to overcome our own pain and stuff, but we should be feeding those people. I mean,
Well, we could use humor to raise money to feed the people.
Right.
We could always creatively come up with something to turn it around to make it right.
Yeah, that's it's interesting. I created this show back in 2003, and the first episode, was
March. Was it May?
I think I started taping in April. I think, and I created or March or April, and the first show was May 1st.
Okay.
And at the end of the show, I basically talked about the idea that there's 18,000 kids that are dying every day from hunger and starvation. I mean, this is not humorous. But in terms of creating a happy, this is not about humor, but this is one of the reasons I created the show is our world shouldn't be like this. We've got these people are starving, and we've got 10, 20, 30, 40 times more than we need here in the America, and even our poor people, have so much more than we need. We've got to really start addressing the happiness of other people. Their humor, their happiness is just as important as ours. And this has nothing to do with humor, because in a certain sense, even though I've been advocating laughing at adversity, at other people's adversity, it's hard to laugh at something like that.
That's true.
But yeah, we really should. We've got to address that. It's been a long time coming. I don't understand why the rich in this world and why the politicians, why people just let it go on.
Well, I think it's going to have to do with governments. They're going to have to understand what the real change, how the real change can occur with using happiness. Because happiness, if that's the motivation, maybe governments could really understand what people in the world really need, and then we can all pitch in.
Yeah, because I have a feeling helping the poor, the hungry, to become happier, to through economic systems, whatever they need, may actually be the best way to a happier world. All right, well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching. In the future, we'll explore other topics designed to help us better enjoy life. This is George and Lionel saying, be good, think well, feel very happy, and I hope you join us again next time here on The Happiness Show.
Happiness is powerful. It's our underlying need. Happiness is why we live each day. Happiness is destiny. So let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy. Yeah, let's be so very happy.